Hello, welcome to the adventures of Captain Fishhook Waterflea, a short story about invasive species in Lake Champlain. This map shows the Lake Champlain long-term monitoring sites and tributary sites. Some of the data from these sites you'll see in our short story here in a few minutes. Lake Champlain is a dimictic thermally stratified lake. Its deepest point is over 400 feet. Before we get into our story, let's talk a little bit about plankton. Why should we care about plankton? Well, they're basically the base of the food web. Cladocera, copepods, and rotifers are the animal plankton that feed on the algae or phytoplankton, and that supports the fishery in a lake system. Without the plankton, we don't have a fishery. There have been 4 major invasions into Lake Champlain over the last 30 years. The zebra mussel, which came in 1994, the alewife, which arrived in 2006 and 7, the spiny water flea, which arrived in 2014, and finally the fishhook water flea, which arrived in 2018. The zebra mussel, spiny water flea, and fishhook water flea are all endemic to Europe. Welcome to the adventures of Captain Fishhook Water Flea. Spinybeard's Revenge. A short story about the invasion of the spiny water flea into Lake Champlain. After their previous defeated attempt, the pirates' water flea were not ready to give up their quest to invade Lake Champlain. They retreated to a safe place, holed up for the winter, and prepared for another invasion attempt the next year. Awaking from a long winter's resting egg, Captain Fishhook gave the order for Spinybeard's Revenge. Spiny, as Captain Fishhook had come to affectionately refer to his first mate, I have a plan, matey. We are going to get you in first. Then I'll come with reinforcements later. Spiny chuckled. Excellent plan, Captain. I'm ready and able on your orders, sir. Captain Fishhook then described in great detail the plan for Spinybeard. By hook or crook, he was to invade Lake Champlain from the south, using a surprise strategy, a full-scale invasion. First, Spiny had to find a nearby lake from which to stage his dastardly plan. He bid farewell to Captain Fishhook and started his journey to Lake Champlain. On the southern route, he tried several of the Finger Lakes in central New York, only to realize his miscalculation. None of these blasted Finger Lakes are directly connected to Lake Champlain. He got as far as the last Finger Lake and was just about to give up when he realized the most amazing thing. Lakes are connected by rivers. Sometimes even when a natural river connection does not exist between two lakes, someone makes one for you. Spiny needed to find the perfect connection to Lake Champlain, so he went to see an old friend, Stripes the zebra mussel. Spiny knew Stripes from his time training on Lake Ontario's pirate invasion fleet. He also knew Stripes had already invaded all of the Great Lakes, the Chicago Canal and Illinois River, the Mississippi River all the way down to the Atchafalaya Swamp in Louisiana, and most of North America. As Spiny says, "Arg, no one does it better than Stripes. No one." If anyone knew how to stage an invasion of Lake Champlain, it would be Stripes. "Arr," said Spiny as he knocks on Stripes' door. "Are you home?" Stripes got up from a plate of nice, tasty rotifers to answer the door. "Well, hello there, my good friend. Spiny, it's been a long time. How may I be of assistance?" Spiny replied, "I need information on Lot 7. I'm planning to invade Lake Champlain, and I need your help." "Help? You don't need my help. Invading Lake Champlain is easy. Just use the bloody canal." Spiny thought, wow, we usually just use boats. He then asked Stripes, what's a blasted canal? Stripes replied, "Spiny, you numbnut. A canal is a human-made artificial river. Like a highway, humans use them to move around where rivers do not naturally exist. You blimey fool. You need to use the Southern Canal to access Lake Champlain. I'll give you directions on how to get there," Spiny replied. "Okay, thanks, matey." Stripes continued. "Look, this is tricky, but once you know where they made canals, you will make it there easily. You can get to Lake Champlain by going up the Hudson River to the Champlain Canal, then go north. After a few miles, you're in the South Lake. From there, the whole lake awaits," Spiny said. "I can't swim upstream in the Hudson. I'm a plankton. Arrgh, that's not my niche," Stripes replied. "Ah, true. Okay, we need a more complex plan. First, you will need to invade a lake nearby with a river connection to the canal. That way it's all downstream from there. You can visit me friend, who apparently is in the Hudson Valley, Harry Hydrilla. He will know the way." The map to the right shows the invasion of the zebra mussel into Lake Champlain from the south through the Champlain Canal. It only took a few years for the zebra mussel to invade the entire lake in the early 1990s. Okay, let's take a break and look at some data. This graph shows the total abundance of mysids and total rotifers in Lake Champlain, beginning in the early 1990s for about 20 years. You can see a major decline associated with the zebra mussel invasion in the lake in the early 90s. Neither group, mysids or rotifers, has recovered since the invasion of zebra mussels into Lake Champlain. A little more about rotifers. This graph shows abundance of several of the common rotifer species in Lake Champlain. As you can see, we had a very rich, abundant community in the early 1990s prior to invasion of the zebra mussel. Following zebra mussel invasion, that community declined dramatically in abundance, and many of these rotifers were not even detectable in the samples. And the rotifer community is now dominated by Conochelus, a gelatinous colonial rotifer, which zebra mussels can't filter. They can filter out all the other rotifer species and consume them as food just fine. Spiny turned to leave and said, "Thanks, matey. Eat lots of those rotifers. I hate those little scallywags, especially the ones in Lake Champlain." Stripes replied, "Live long, and may your journey be full of invasion success." Spiny made his way to the Hudson, the home of Harry Hydrilla, to find out more about the rivers and canals flowing into Lake Champlain. Upon arriving at a pond to meet Harry, Spiny said, "Hi, Harry. Stripes sent me to see you. My, what a thick mat you have. That would smother a native fish for sure." Harry said, "Why, yes, it will. Some may think I'm good when I invade, but I assure you it's bad for the natives. Makes them restless. Haha." The facts box to the right shows Hydrilla verticillata, an invasive plant from South America that's currently invading North America. Spiny then continued his quest by asking, "Harry, I don't have much time. How do I invade Lake Champlain?" Harry stopped, pondered the situation, and said, "Okay, you need to hitch a ride on a boat. Pick one that's traveling toward Lake Champlain. Make sure you get into a body of water connected to Lake Champlain by a river or a canal. Then you carry out your dastardly revenge and invade from there. I suggest Lake George, or maybe Sacandaga Lake. The fastest way to get to Lake Champlain would be to invade Lake George, but they have strict boat cleaning regulations there. It would be hard for you to sneak in, so you may have to get to Sacandaga first, and then go from there." "Okay," said Spiny. "Do you know a boat I can ride on?" Harry replied, "Try one of the eastbound boats from Lake Ontario. Lots of those people fish in Sacandaga Lake in particular, and many of them don't clean their boats." "An excellent plan. I'll get to Sacandaga Lake and invade from there." Watching Spiny slink away, Harry thought about his own secret plan to invade the Adirondacks. He wasn't happy staying in the south. His plan to continue his expansion north. First Lake Champlain, and then the world. Since hitching rides on unwashed boats was something Spiny had a lot of experience doing, he knew exactly what to do. He liked being a dirty pirate. He jumped on the first passing boat and ended up right where Harry said he would be, the beautiful Sacandaga Lake. From there, he slinked his way down the Sacandaga River until he entered the mighty Hudson River. From the Hudson, Spiny found the entrance to the feeder canal for the Champlain Canal, just as Harry had predicted. He had found his destiny, and finally, after a few attempts, he made the rest of the trip through the canal and then into Lake Champlain. just for fun, he invaded several other lakes nearby, including beautiful Lake George, where he exclaimed, "What a pretty sheet of water." To the right is the Champlain feeder canal in the picture and the map of the invasion of spiny waterflea into Sacandaga Lake, the Hudson River, the Champlain Canal, and ultimately Lake Champlain by 2014. It took 6 years to get from Sacandaga Lake to Lake Champlain. Finally, with dreadful intentions, he made it to Lake Champlain, his ultimate destination, where he said, "Here I am, arr, mateys, time to eat some native plankton and make this ecosystem mine." The spiny water flea population grew and grew until there were so many water fleas the local anglers cried, "Enough! These darn spiny water fleas are clogging all our lines and destroying the food web in our lake. The fishing here is ruined." To the right, you see some of the first specimens collected in Lake Champlain, including a specimen with a brood on its back, so 4 young, and one of the samples early collected in Lake Champlain in 2014, which contained hundreds of spiny water flea. While Lake Champlain was a very hospitable place for Spiny and his mates, eventually he became restless and developed a longing to explore new waters. As he developed plans to expand beyond Lake Champlain into other lakes, he shouted, "Where will I go next? Only the future will tell. Watch out! I may be coming to your lake. I hear the Adirondacks are a very nice place. Arr! Has anyone seen a boat leaving Lake Champlain I can hitch a ride on?" The map on the right shows the successful invasion of a number of Adirondack lakes, following the 2008 invasion into Sacandaga Lake, 2012 invasion into Lake George, and 2014 invasion into Lake Champlain of the spiny water flea. Thank you for listening to our story, and we hope you are part of the solution and not part of the problem. Please do anything you can to stop aquatic hitchhikers. Well, we've had a number of invaders in Lake Champlain. We don't want any more. Thank you. You can go to these published papers for more impacts on invasive species in Lake Champlain, or contact Tim Myhook at the Lake Champlain Research Institute at SUNY Plattsburgh.